So right now we are in Kiev, Ukraine. This is the capital of Ukraine. And I was lucky. I got here literally just a few days before the borders closed. And I got the last flight from Poznan, Poland to Kiev. And right now we're on Maidan Niezależności. This is the main square of the country. It's Independence Square. And let me just give you a little bit of a look around the place. And it's quite nice. There was something really rather dark that happened here a few years ago, though, and this is not so happy of a place anymore. So I believe it was 130 people died here, and I think it was 18 police officers and 112 protesters. And as best as I understand what happened, in 2013, the Ukrainian president backed out of some deals to start moving towards being part of, the European Union. Not any sort of obligation, but at least some sort of agreement in that direction, and rather start moving towards Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan. And my understanding is that there were some students that came here to protest, and they got beaten up really, really badly by the government, and it was a peaceful protest. And things kept escalating. Of course, their parents found about that. People came here, and eventually my understanding is that there are more than 100,000 people here. And not joking, there were, for example, snipers on top of that hotel that were taking people out. I believe over there as well on that street by the clock. And there were also fires. I think it was told that it was this building over here that they tried setting on fire and people were camping in. So this was obviously a very bad place, back then. It's been cleaned up a bit, but this is where we're going to start. And I'm going to show you around some basic things, some kind of interesting things in this area. I want to get a little bit more in depth in Kiev, and I want to show some of the nice stuff, some of the crazy stuff. So right next to this square, this beautiful square with all this dark history, of course, we have the Muzeum Meduza, the Museum of the Jellyfish. So it's kind of doesn't really fit in. I understand that they put this here after all the problems happened, so it wasn't something that was just there before. We're also going to get a better view of this square. So this hotel I was mentioning, the Hotel Ukraina, I actually stayed there once when I was here for a conference, and this is where they had snipers on top of it. So it's over there. And we're going to go inside there. We're going to kind of pretend we're a guest and just sort of confidently walk by and go to the elevators. I'll give you a nice view of this whole place from up there. So we're on the 10th floor of the Ukraina hotel where they had snipers set up back in 2014. And this is the very amazing view that we have. And of course the Jellyfish Museum down there. One of the most important travel tips, I think, for going to Ukraine is actually learn the Cyrillic alphabet, and honestly both Russian and Ukrainian alphabets. The languages are very, very difficult to actually learn, but the Cyrillic alphabet's not that difficult. It'll take maybe an hour or two or something like that. And let me just demonstrate the power of this. So, I do not know these languages that well, but look what we have over here. If you know what these letters mean, espresso, Americano. You can kind of really figure out what a lot of this is. Cappuccino, latte, chai, that was not as obvious, that's tea. Far kava, that's some sort of coffee. So it's actually really, really useful to be able to read some of these signs. And also if you know another, or at least part of another Slavic language, say Polish, I've been studying some Polish because I live in Poland, you can really piece together and figure out what a lot of stuff actually means. It's not perfect, of course, but it really helps. What I think is very important to cover is that there are two main languages spoken in Ukrainian. So there's both Ukrainian and Russian. And so actually the city Kiev, I learned it K-I-E-V. This is, from my childhood, I'd always pronounce it like that. And we'll see in a minute why. There's a lot of currently very, very bad blood between Ukraine and Russia. And right now, the preferred spelling as of some years ago is K-Y-I-V. So I'm going to always try my best to say it like that, but I think it's one little thing that will help if you come to the city. Try to spell it like K-Y-I-V if you remember. Now, the difference between these languages, you can kind of tell by the alphabet. I'll maybe point out some cases where you can tell something's written in Russian and some in Ukrainian. Ukrainian tends to be spoken very predominantly like in the west on the Polish border, and Russian can also be more commonly spoken like in the east or in the south. And there's a lot of big push right now to speak more and more Ukrainian. So why is it that there's some hostilities between Ukraine and Russia? And it goes, well, probably further back than I even know about. But for example, in the Soviet Union, there was a planned starvation where millions of Ukrainians were starved. And even to the recent days, look what we have up here. So this is the war with Russia. We have this huge wall of victims. We're going to look at this in a bit more detail. So this is dating back to 2014, and there's been an ongoing conflict with Russia. I believe something like 13,000 people have died. This only shows the military personnel. And one of the things I think is really touching about this is, I mean, we don't just have a list of names. Like, okay, we have some names over here, but you know, look at this. We have pictures, all kinds of information, when they were born, when they died, so we can kind of see this is, and we'll use Ukrainian pronunciation out of respect, not Russian. Oleg Yaroslavovich. I'm sure my pronunciation on that is totally off, but I can kind of sound it out slowly. And by the way, this is one of the ways you can tell if you are looking at Russian or Ukrainian. That I letter there means that you're reading Ukrainian. So this is Dmitro Mihailovich. And there are just way too many names here to get anywhere near touching this. You know, look how much everyone cares. Everyone's leaving flowers. And we have, you know, these are the people, these are the dates, the times that they died on. And everyone's here, you know, they're caring. They leave about all these flowers to their dead relatives. And this just keeps going and going. You know, this really shows kind of the scale of the destruction that just this pointless war has. And we're still only 2015 there. We started in 2014. So you can kind of get some idea of this. To me, this really says a lot more, like I was saying earlier, than just having names on the wall. You know, there's a huge impact of seeing, you know, what was the life of, you know, what was the reason for ending the life of Ihor Anatolievich. You know, these are all people with their lives and dreams, and it's over, you know, just some stupid political thing. And this just keeps going and going and going and going. One of the many, many, many unfortunate things that communism did was to tear down all kinds of just beautiful churches and old monuments. And what we have here, this original building, this is actually a reconstruction. So this is St. Michael's Dome Cathedral. And this was originally built like something like 1102, like the early 1100s. And the original was torn down in the 1930s by the Soviet Union. And this reconstruction, I wish we could get in. If I got here a little earlier, we'd be able to get in. I'm pretty sure it's closed now, unfortunately, but inside it's just shockingly beautiful. And this was, you know, reconstructed in, I think, 1999 it was finished. And, you know, based on the old plans. So it's kind of something that's sort of new and old at the same time. I know in, you know, a lot of our European old towns in Poland, for example, that we don't have the original buildings. We have, you know, it was destroyed in World War II or something like this, and we've, you know, rebuilt it. And it's sad that all these wonderful things in, you know, modern times have been destroyed that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. So I was able to make it back here a little earlier in the day, so I'll try to show you inside the church. And yeah, look at that, it's beautiful. These are the grounds. I'm going to be pretty quiet and just kind of show what it looks like. This is really beautiful. There's something behind there. I'm not sure what though. Look at the candles. This looks like a nice little thing here. Such beautiful architecture. I don't feel as bad talking loud right now. Yeah, look at that. This is pretty cool to me. Look at the way that they figured out how to hold this door open. It's got this broomstick like wedged it in here. I do think that that's actually really cool. I don't think I've seen this specific solution before. So I'm done here. I'll return you to the regular scheduled program. Just kind of one funny note, because now we're going kind of more towards the funny side of the video. Public bathroom is over there. And even though this is this beautiful historical site, when you go in the bathrooms, you pay like 3 hryvnia, and there's a babushka guarding it, and she has a roll of toilet paper, and you guess how much you need. You take it off the roll, and then there are these just kind of crazy squatting toilets in there. So even in these touristic parts of these centers of the city, there can still be some kind of weird things like this. So this is definitely something to be prepared about if you visit here. Kiev is definitely one of my favorite cities, and it's not just because there's some beautiful things to see, some beautiful cathedrals. We also have some just like crazy whacked out stuff. Like for example, and there's much more to come. So we have this Alice in Wonderland Park, and it looks like Alice there is just strung out on, I don't know, like or something, I don't know what. And over here, there's plenty more where that came from. Over here we have this just trippy, crazy cat thing. You can like get in its mouth. Of course, someone's providing a soundtrack in the background, so I will try to get in this. And there's just some other trippy stuff here, but I believe the best thing is yet to come. Also, another important detail, I don't know how many legs this cat has. Like, it really kind of looks like a centipede. Like, this just keeps going and going, and these are more just legs of this trippy cat that you can just step inside. But it looks like there's some more normal looking cats with only 4 legs on here. I don't know if this one maybe is a beaver instead, but that one looks more like a cat. This playground is guarded by a snake. So let's hope we'll be safe going inside this one. It's like a turtle, scorpion, bunch of donuts and things. Like, this is not quite as trippy as the last. I don't know, it still kind of is. Like, I like the alligator here. Not quite as much as the Alice in Wonderland one. I mean, this is still a really cool playground. I wish I had something kind of like this when I was a kid. We did have some nice ones, but this is just a whole nother level. We're getting close to my favorite thing in Kiev. Of course, we have a bench being held by hands that you can sit on. Some telescope type thing, I'm not sure. This little castle. Okay, so I found it. It's a little dark, but I think it'll still be pretty clear to see. This is easily one of my favorite things. Right under the woods here, right next to a playground over there. Look at this. We have these 4 boys peeing with perfect precision onto the other side. You know, it's amazing because I'm not even getting wet. Like, they must definitely have perfect aim to do this. And of course, right there's a playground. So this is probably one of the, yeah, this is definitely one of many of the strangest things I've seen before. I don't quite know exactly what the point of this is. Another thing I love about this city is sometimes they're just super trippy murals. So I'm trying to really figure out what's exactly going on here. I don't know if this is just a result of a lot of drugs or if it's just some particular thing that's going on. But if anyone can explain this in the comments, please do. I'm very curious to know what that is. We have St. Andrew's Church, and we're gonna head down this hill this way, and this is really quite treacherous during the winter, and I'm sure this is close. I'm not sure if we can even get in this now. I think they're doing some reconstruction sometime. Maybe I'll come back later. It's obviously a bit late, but this is definitely one of the touristic areas. You can get all kinds of souvenirs and things here. What I definitely want to get if I see it, I think a lot of people are packing up, so it might be kind of hard to actually find it. But I definitely want to see if we can find some of the Putin toilet paper. If we don't find it this time, then we can find it later. I think most of the sellers are unfortunately gone. But this is a very nice part of town. This goes down to the Podil district. And a lot of restaurants and cafes and things. And generally they're not too good about cleaning like ice and things when it's winter out. So you can imagine when you're going down this, it's gonna really slip and slide a lot. So this is one of the ways to be a little bit careful if you're gonna be coming here like in January or February, which I have done before. It's unlikely we're going to get a chance to go here on this particular trip. I'll be back later. But you can see, you know, where we are exactly. We have Chernobyl tours being offered. It's not that far from Kiev. And I was in Pripyat, Chernobyl about 4 years ago. So I do plan on coming back sometime. Actually, of all people, my mom was interested in going, and she planned on coming to Kiev this year, but you know, with all the travel restrictions, and you know, she's living in Detroit in the United States, so there's no way she was going to make it here. But I might be able to get to do this later. Like I said, there are some kind of trippy murals here, and to me this isn't quite as trippy as the last one I showed, but it's still pretty cool. I think we're getting pretty close to the bottom of the Andreevsky descent. I'll be pointing these out some later, but there's still a lot of these telephone booths all over the city. Let's see, that's pronounced Tasco phone. So I guess, I mean, you can kind of figure out what that means. And I've tried picking up a few of these and they seem to not be operational. Like there's not even anything to pick up there. But I know there are a few of these around the train station too. And this is a little bit of a contrast because, I mean, obviously this looks ugly and crazy, but then like, look how beautiful all this is. And we're gonna have a nice, beautiful Ferris wheel coming up there too. So there can be some really great life and vitality of this city. You know, I'm not in the main square like it was earlier, but it's, I think like maybe 9 p.m. right now or something like that on a Monday night. And in that part of town, there's gonna be a lot of people still. And even now, I mean, look at this. To me, this is just a great atmosphere. This is a Monday night. This isn't even a weekend. And there's still a lot going on. I'm kind of curious about this Ferris wheel. You know, I've been here a bunch of times and I've never ridden it. I want to show at least around this area as well, because there's another street where there's a lot of stuff. So we can keep going this way. And this takes us to the river. This takes us to Poštova Plošća. It's a postal square. And you see the street goes on for a long time. There's just tons of stuff going on. Like this is, I guess, in some ways kind of the closest you could say call like an old town of Kiev. Like, you know, maybe I'll get some controversy for saying that, but it's something kind of like that. And we'll be ending the video kind of in that direction at the metro. But I first want to see if this is operating. So maybe we can get some really nice views from up there. It looks like we need to go through a disinfection tunnel. This looks pretty wild. We go in, I guess, this side. I hope it doesn't affect my phone at all. Oop. And it looks like it's 50 hryvnia, which is about $2. So it's actually 100 hryvnia. 50 was the child's price. So it's not too bad. It's a little bit less than $4. And I've seen this Ferris wheel so many times, it's worth it just to check it out. This isn't a very quickly moving Ferris wheel, but we can get some view of the city. Well, it was kind of a little scary actually looking back like that, but yeah, we can see the St. Andrew's Church where we were a little while ago. And that way is to the river, the Poštova Plošća station. And there I am in the mirror, So I'm done with the Ferris wheel. We got to go around exactly once, so maybe I would have liked it if we could go more. The view honestly wasn't that great the way the cars were made, but it was still kind of a fun thing to do, so it's not a bad way to kill a little bit of time. So one of the things I love about this city that I haven't had a chance to show much yet is some kind of crazy use of the English language. And I promise there's going to be a lot more of this in future episodes covering the city. But for example, we have Pennsylvania, as in the American state of Pennsylvania. So it's just like, it's a Pennsylvania themed pun. And I might find it later, but there's also a Peaceburg. And I'm not sure if this is a theme in the city. So this is Mreža Kancelarskih Magazynів. And so I think this is just a place that sells kind of like pencils and pens and notebooks and stuff like that. But that's why the name Pennsylvania, but I have no idea why the connection to the American state. So today is the next day, and I just want to interrupt that a little bit. While we're on the topic of Pennsylvania themed puns, I'm on Metro Chernihievska, and look at this wonderful thing over here. That Peaceburg, as in the city in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. And there's Pikachu speaking clearly not in the Dostavka. So we are entering Metro Kontraktova Plošća. And there's kind of a funny thing here. I'm not sure how much I really want to say about this so I don't get sued. But here's where knowing Cyrillic helps a little bit, at least understanding the alphabet. So we see this and we don't think much of it. Maybe that volcano sounds a little familiar, or seems a little familiar. But then L. Ron Hubbard, Dianetica. It's Scientology. The Scientologists are trying to advertise in Ukraine. So I actually found a couple of years ago the Scientology Center, and I'm a little scared to go back there. But maybe sometime if I'm in that area, it could be an interesting video to have something like that. So it will be time to go back to Obolon now. So in future episodes, I want to show both kind of the crazy and the nice parts of town. So I'm going to show some crazy districts that tourists would never go to, which honestly I kind of like some, as well as some of the pretty stuff. So be sure to, like, comment, subscribe, share this if you want to see more.